us today, we have Dr. Benjamin and his wonderful wife, Joyce. Welcome to Always Real Talk.
Thank you.
We're glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Oh, well, good, great. Now, I wanted to, start off talking about this wonderful organization that you have created, and that is the Autism, FYI.org.
Right.
And we've been looking at the website. You're doing some phenomenal things. How, Dr. Benjamin, how did you get started?
It was an aha moment. My sister-in-law, Joyce's sister, lives in Richmond. And this was about 7 years ago now. She sent us an article for Richmond newspaper, and it detailed the story of Reginald Latson. This was an 18-year-old young man, African-American, who was autistic, was in front of a library one morning, and we don't know who, but someone called and notified authorities that there was a young man in a hoodie, and they thought he had a firearm. So in any event, the school resource officer in the adjacent school came over, and I don't know what ensued and how, but he didn't know the young man was autistic, and he put his hands on the young man as he started to walk away. And again, what transpired was some type of a fight, but the school resource officer was injured, badly injured. I think he fractured a leg. And the young boy was arrested and put in jail. And all this was detailed in this newspaper article. And Joyce and I, we have two adult sons that are big guys. My son, 6'3" and 6 foot.
Okay, so you have you both have two autistic sons.
Right.
And how old are they?
They are now 29 and 30.
29 and 30, and
Yes.
and so you was looking at the article. You kind of was reading what was kind of going on. Was your sons born at that time when the article came out?
Oh, yes, absolutely. They're 30. This was
Like I said, 7 years ago.
yeah. So this was probably that occurred in 2013, maybe.
Okay, so they were like 21 years.
Yeah,
20
they were,
years old at that
and they
point.
they were out of high school, and now they were going to the mall. They were going to the movie theaters by themselves.
Okay.
So that really alarmed us, their interaction without us as they traverse their community. And if they had an interaction with the police, the first thing a police officer was going to ask is, how can I take these guys down if they weren't acting appropriately? Mm-hmm. So he suggested that we find a way to make it easier for officers to recognize that they're on the spectrum and they need special consideration.
Right. And so that's when the premise, Joyce and I, we talked about this, and it's not that this, let me just predate this. We've always been concerned about our sons, and we had them wearing, didn't we have the dog tags back then?
Right,
even before all this came down.
Before they came down. But so let me just stop and ask the question. You had your first both of them were boys, right?
Right.
Okay. So you had your first son, and you realized that there was autism. And when we come back, I just want to get your thoughts. And when you had your second son, you what was that thought process going on? We're going to capture when we come back. Okay. We'll be right back right after these messages.
My name is Darren Stewart. I go to Thurkin Marshall Academy.
My name is Kayla Williams, and I'm a freshman at Temple University.
The program has helped me by opening my mind to travel more.
The Challenge now in GSF has helped me just open my eyes to different cultures, gave me the opportunity to learn and speak a different language, and then experience that and then use that language in another country.
And just realizing that there are people out there who are not as fortunate as I am. And so it makes me want to help them.
Just knowing that you have to always be open to new things and never judge anybody.
Welcome back. We're here with the Benjamins, still talking about, you like that?
Yeah.
We're still with the Benjamins. And we're talking about autism. And we're talking about Autism, FYI.org, which is a phenomenal organization that you both created and started. It's making a big difference in the Maryland and DC area. I want to come back to you have 2 sons, and you mentioned before that you had your first son.
Right.
Did you know right away that there was autism was there, because there are a lot of our viewers, and they don't know, and they're looking for answers and looking for folks, and that's why we're here to really talk.
Right.
Joyce should talk about that because she's the nurse and the mother. And,
oh yeah, by the way, we have a RA right here, greater
registered nurse.
Registered Greater Southeast.
That's where I was when we met.
So people out there who know about Greater Southeast, right? Howard graduate, Howard University, Bisons, go Bisons, and then of course we got another Howard grad, and a doctor, a plastic surgeon.
Yes.
Plastic surgeon. And we're talking about autism, but we have some of the best and brightest sitting right here. But let's go back to your first son. When you first had your son.
Brad experienced seizures when he was about 10 months old. And by that time, I was already pregnant with number 2. So through the examinations and through testing, all we knew by the time number 2 was born is that we had a son with seizures. And the diagnosis of autism didn't really come until after he was 2. So we actually began to see the signs after he was 18 months.
That was for
for my
first son.
oldest son, right?
Okay.
And the other part of that, though, is that his milestones were all appropriate. We did not know. The seizures are not what initiated the autism. The seizures was just a comorbidity that he had that was coincidental to the autism. It's in other words, parents don't think that seizures will predate autism. That's not necessarily the case at all. That was coincidental with our son.
Okay.
But they often do coexist.
So then your second son is born.
Yes, and the same thing. And the 2 of them began speaking their own little language to each other. We couldn't understand what they were saying, but they both got it with each other. So they grew up as best friends, and the times were very trying. I had them in special school until they were about 6 and 4, which time we brought them home, and I homeschooled for the next 6 years. And then we put them back in the county school to go into a private school, which they were at the Harbor School then until they graduated. And I take it this is the passion going back to the article, because as they became older, yes,
you started
as they
to
be afraid for their safety.
And at what point was that? Was it some point?
That aha moment was that article. It really was.
So the article was the one. They were about 21 at that time?
About that, 21 and 22.
Right. So before then, when they were in their teenage years, and did you ever,
we were never leaving them, basically. They were with us 24/7. We never let them go into the stores by themselves. They weren't that
disciplined, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you read the story, you read the article. The article talked about what happened to this young man or this individual in terms of the police not understanding that they had autism, and now this individual's locked up.
Right.
When we come back, we're going to jump right into the autismfy.org, and because this is what sparked it all, right?
Right.
It was,
exactly.
but that young man was actually tried and convicted by a jury of his peers. Now, I don't know what the jury makeup was, but they sentenced him to 10 years in jail.
And did they know he had autism?
Yes.
Wow. Well, we'll be right back. We're going to talk about not only, what the organization does, autismfy.org. Go look at their website, look them up. They're doing phenomenal work. But then we'll talk about some of the things they're doing to make a difference, to help make sure that other individuals are not caught up in that same cycle of being locked up for 10 years. We'll be right back.
And a local family is helping bring national attention to the neurological disorder in a very unique way.
They are starring in an MTV reality show along with their adult sons who both have autism. Here's a preview of Meet the Benjamins.
My name is Kenny Benjamin, and I am 23 years old. This is my brother Brad, and he's 24 years old.
I have autism.
I have Asperger's syndrome, which is a part of autism. Step back! Coming through! Welcome, MTV, to our room. This is my side, and this is my side. We live at home with our mom and dad.
Welcome back to Always Real Talk. We're still here with our wonderful folks at autismfyi.org, the Benjamins. And we want to go back to tell me, about Autism FYI.
Autism FYI is a nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit that we created to do several things. One is to keep those on the spectrum safe. And we do that through our program IRIS, which stands for Immediate Recognition Increases Safety. Back to that story about Reginald Latson, the young man with autism, because the police couldn't recognize him, which is why he wasn't given the correct response to, the police officer didn't give the correct response to the young man. We knew that there had to be a way of indicators to show the officer that the person needs special considerations. So we created a very simple logo that is a yield sign, a yellow yield sign that you would know would mean slow down, wait, caution, and then the puzzle piece, which has been identified with autism.
Absolutely. And
So-
you see both of them on the screen now.
Okay, good. So it's like, it's easy for them to put that together and then say, okay, wait, there's a place here for me to react slower, for
So
me to.
walk me through the iris.
Okay.
I saw the puzzle. It's a wonderful puzzle, which you was on the screen, as well as the yield sign.
Right.
Now, if I'm someone with autism, and is it something that I carry, or like, how does an officer, how does one know that
You
I
have autism. We created several ways for them to self-identify or self-disclose that they are on the autism
And
spectrum.
what would be the top three things? Because you train and you do. A lot of
Yeah, we
training.
do training.
What is the
but
top three things?
we would give them they would wear the logo on like the sleeve of their shirt.
But they being
The
one
person with
from
autism.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I'm just trying to get.
Exactly.
Like I'm trying to keep it simple for I'm
Yeah,
trying to keep it simple.
no, it's the
So
person with the
got-
disability that
okay.
we feel like if you require special considerations, you should indicate that you need those special considerations. And because so many of those on the spectrum are nonverbal, we need them to be able to express that visually.
So how are those with autism? Because I think it's something that they wear, something they see.
Right.
How receptive are they to actually,
to wearing it.
To wearing it. I mean,
That seems to be one of the barriers we see are the parents that are so used to being protective of their child with autism. And so there it's almost like there's a shame factor
and
with many.
that's what I was thinking. They don't want their child, they want their kid
Bullied.
bullied,
Right. Or taken advantage of.
knowing that they are different.
Right.
At the same time, there are things that could save their life based on what we just heard.
Right.
No question.
Is that okay? And so they have the puzzle, which is
So they have
who
the
created that
indicator.
puzzle? Who created that?
We
I like
did.
it.
Yeah.
Oh
we
yeah,
did.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that. All those colors. I love the puzzle.
Well, the other part of it is that, and you may have been leading up to this, it's a registration process, and we've had to change software and spend money to do that, to make it available to people when they register themselves or when the caregiver registers the person. And that triggers what we do in terms of sending out the ID card. We notify the jurisdiction in which they live, that is fire EMS, as well as the law enforcement. And they get the PDF
Of those indicators that
Of
they
those,
can use.
of those indicators. Well, I tell you what, you hold that thought. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more how you register. We're going to talk about why you created it. We're going to talk a little bit about the mobile app, because it's a mobile app that you have. And we'll talk a little bit more about all three of those. And then we'll get into how does one participate? And how does one get involved? And how does one help this cause for what you're doing? We'll be right back right after these messages.
Darren Stewart. I go to Thurkin Marshall Academy.
My name is Kayla Williams, and I'm a freshman at Temple University.
The program has helped me by opening my mind to travel more.
The Challenge now in GSF has helped me just open my eyes to different cultures, gave me the opportunity to learn and speak a different language, and then experience that and then use that language in another country.
And just realizing that there are people out there who are not as fortunate as I am. And so it makes me want to help them.
Just knowing that you have to always be open to new things and never judge anybody.
Welcome back to Always Real Talk. We're still here with the Benjamins, and we're still talking about autism. FYI.org, a phenomenal organization. Go out, check out their website, make a donation, look at all these wonderful things that they're actually doing and they're actually providing and educating. But more importantly, we were talking about the mobile app. And what does this mobile app do?
The mobile app we originally created for the law enforcement and first responders. It's free to download, and it has the tips for interacting safely with someone on the autism spectrum, which we find first responders, even if they've had training, if you have not personally interacted with someone on the spectrum, they may not recognize that the person is on the spectrum, and then if they do, they still may not remember how they're supposed to interact safely.
So this app, you can download it on Apple, you can download it
anywhere,
on Android,
right?
And you can go to the store. And who would use that app? Would it be the
first responders, families, teachers?
Awesome. So if
yeah.
you're a teacher, you're a firefighter, you're a police officer,
right.
Download the app. Become educated on this autism and how they can play a role in protecting those with it.
Right. So it gives them definitely tips on how to recognize autism. It has a lot of characteristics. It also has tips on the different neurologic disorders. So disorders like ALS, Huntington's, epilepsy, intellectual disabilities, all the characteristics are on there. So if they're trying to identify, or their person they stop says, I have ALS, they can look it up and see what characteristics are the person struggles with.
Awesome. And Dr. Benjamin, as one of the leading plastic surgeons, I mean, this is what you're doing every single day, and now you're into the autism. Walk me through,
I love what I do as a surgeon, but my passion is my youngsters, my boys, and if I can help through our program keep everybody safe that's on the spectrum, those that are involved with us, then it helps my sons too. That trickle down works for me. As John F. Kennedy used to say, a rising tide floats all boats.
Absolutely. So walk me through what's next.
Well, what's next is we currently train first responders already, and we have our training online for free at firstforward.com for first responders across the country.
So let's back up. We have the training. The training's online. Everyone, you'll see what that is on the screen. Go there, and for first responders, you can see it for free. And what's the website again?
Firstforward.com.
Firstforward.com. Now, you guys are doing some phenomenal work in the DC public schools. And doing some training there also too, right?
Absolutely.
What do you do with the DC public schools?
School resource officers have their first law enforcement interaction with students, with children. Right. And that interaction for the officers with autistic individuals and vice versa, there's a fear factor there due to the unknown and lack of experience with each other. So we train those police officers in the school to identify and learn how to interact, how to get someone with autism to understand what they expect of them, and to gain their trust. So it's trusting each other.
And then also, I think you're in police officers, you train police officers, is that correct?
Right.
Mr. Benjamin?
And
that's in Fairfax?
Well, Fairfax is where we did the first training, I think. It was 2 years ago. We trained the trainers. In other words, Fairfax police officers have their trainers that were trained, and then those trainers then will train officers that come through. And what happened, from what I understand, is that those trainers that were trained 2+ years ago moved on through promotion. They're not there. And so we've been invited back to train a new set of trainers in Fairfax. That's one. Now, in Prince George's County, we train
Every 2 months.
So every 2 months you're training in
Prince George's County.
Prince George's County. And where?
The crisis center. Well,
Intervention. The crisis intervention training, it encompasses not just law enforcement, police officers and sheriffs, corrections officers, 911 office, 911 operators, anyone involved in a crisis intervention, firefighters, rescue workers, they have a crisis intervention training every 2 months. And we do the autism piece of it.
You're in D.C., in the public schools, you're in Fairfax, and you train the police officers there, and first responders, and in the crisis center in Prince George's County. So you're covering the whole region. We come back, we're going to talk about, I know you're thinking what I'm thinking. How do I help? How do I get involved? What is the next steps after all of these different wonderful things that you're doing? What is the exciting things that people can walk away from and actually give a helping hand? We'll be right back right after this moment. Welcome back to Always Real Talk. We're still talking about Autism, FYI.org, a phenomenal organization. Go out, donate, share this video, share this clip, share with your friends. What we want to do is get the word out so people understand what Autism, FYI, what you do, what you're doing, and more importantly, how they can help. And now we're here just saying that none of this is free. It takes resources, it takes time, it takes dedication. And I know that you have two sons that have autism, so it's personal to you. But at the same time, both of you have invested a lot of energy and a lot of money to this cause. What are some of the things that are out there that people can do, or what do you have on the horizon that you see that people can get involved in? We have people that watch our show and they might want to help out with some of your new, fresh ideas.
One of the things, as a result of talking to first responders, parents, teachers, caretakers who take care of these youngsters, sometimes 49% of them who have a diagnosis of autism will wander or elope, and they can't be found in many instances, or they just get away. And we were often asked about trackers, and until recently we had not been involved with that, but my wife and I talked, and Verizon has come up with a tracker that's reasonably priced, but we want to actually have those trackers so that we can give them to the individuals who need them at no cost.
Right. I would imagine those that are at certain income levels, if you had a chance to get a tracker or eat, right? I mean, or keep a roof over your head.
Right.
I mean, and I hate to even put all of them in the same category and say pick one.
Right.
But you and I know, picking a tracker may not be the option.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And that's why we came up with the idea of being able to have them, and we're going to create a GoFundMe campaign in order for us to get the money to buy them. And our intent is to buy the first 100 and a year's service time from Verizon. Verizon has a relatively nice package that we know is going to work, given that it comes from Verizon.
Well, it seems to me that, Verizon has a wonderful package. Verizon's out there. You guys, Verizon, if you're out there and you're listening, we have a great organization, autismfyi.org, that's doing great work. And I have some buddies at Verizon. I mean, if you're looking, hey, let's talk, let's figure out how we can help this organization sponsor some of these to get out to those individuals that can't really afford them, but they actually need them. The need is great to be able, it's nothing, I mean, I couldn't imagine, I have 2 small children, I could imagine, I'm not going to say I'm losing one, but just one getting away and I don't know where they are.
Right.
I mean, right now you have Amber Alerts. I don't know about you, but Amber, your phone goes off and it's Amber. And, sometimes I look at the phone and my heart stops because I know some kid's missing.
Right.
And so imagine if you're out there, you want to be supportive, you want to sponsor, go to autismfyi.org. In the next week or so, you'll have the GoFundMe page up. Let's make some donations. Here at Always Real Talk, we're going to make a donation. We'll be one of the first to make a donation.
Oh, that's appreciated.
Because we believe in what you're doing and how important it is.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
As now, let's walk us through as we end, right? We have the website, autism.org.
Right.
We have the mobile app,
Right.
So they can go to the mobile app, and if you're a first responder, if you're working in school, you just want to know, you can go
Right.
and you can be educated and informed. And then we have a
24-hour hotline.
24 hotline. Tell me
Yeah.
about that. We're going to end on this 24-hour
hotline. Members, we can help those that actually sign up as members for IRIS program because when they sign up, they give us their demographic information, their behavioral information, things that set them off, calm them down. They give us 3 emergency contacts, any other existing like anxiety or seizures. Wow. All of that information we ask that they could share with us. Are they verbal? Do they have difficulty? Do they sign? Are they sensitive to loud sounds or touch? We put all of that, ask all those questions, and then if a police officer finds them and finds their number, we give them a member number. So we're not putting their name on their wrist or their shirt, but we do put a member number on different things. So that if an officer, we have an 800 number also on the logos as well, and they can call the 800 number, give us the member number, we can tell them, here's the 3 phone numbers of the emergency contacts, they live at this address. So we can help with that.
Oh, that's awesome. So that's the 800
That's
number.
the 800 number.
You'll see it on the screen. We'll put up a screen so everyone will see it, if they'll have access to it. We are so excited and happy to have you come share your story.
We are. Thank you so much for having us.
Really appreciate it. You just don't know how much. Thank you.
Well, no, I mean it's when you talk about organizations that are out here doing great work, not just for themselves, but as you mentioned, for the whole entire community, and just not just a little bit here, a little bit there, doing work in Virginia, doing work in the District of Columbia, doing work in Prince George's County in Maryland. That's what it's really all about. Go check out their website. Go check out and share the 800 number for those that need it. More importantly, go to the mobile app and look for the GoFundMe page coming real soon. This is always Real Talk. We'll see you next week.
The bottom line, Go-Go started in D.C.
Welcome to Always Real Talk. I'm Joe in the Know.